nobody really knows how to teach people to stand up and take on a leadership role when there's so much chaos going on.
Mm.
We can train our employees, our middle managers, and so forth on the nuts and bolts of running a team, for example. But when things start to become fragmented and fall apart, it's the real leaders that are like the cream that rises to the top. They somehow,
Well, you know what I'm thinking is, um, as you were speaking, I'm thinking the world of entrepreneurs kind of feels chaotic all the time. So whatever those attributes are that get leaders to step forward and be highly effective when chaos kind of gives them opens the opportunity for them to rise to take that role. I'm I think entrepreneurs can kind of use that on a day-to-day basis. Hi, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Freedom Solution Show. I'm Eric Asbeck, and today we have Carol Lane, and she's a certified leadership coach and consultant, and we're going to talk about influential leadership. So, hey, Carol, how are you?
hi, Eric. It's good to be here.
And I paused to say that because, well, you're going to see why I made emphasis on the words influential and leadership. Um,
Yeah.
and you're going to find that out right now because I'm going to say, tell me about leadership and particularly influential leadership and why it's so important, especially now.
Do you want me to go ahead and answer that?
I do.
Okay. So, leadership, for me, the interest started as I got older and got into the workforce, but really, my own leadership abilities started very early in life when we lost our mother. I was about 4.5, and I'm the oldest of four. And I had to scramble and adapt quickly because my father suddenly found himself with four kids and still had to work and keep a roof over our head, and it was a lot of stress. But over the years I came to realize that I naturally gravitate into those roles without even thinking about it. And so fast forward to the pandemic, leadership has always been a running theme in terms of the clients that I've worked with and that kind of thing. But it really came to the forefront when the pandemic got going in 2020.
Mm.
And what I saw, which has been going on for quite a number of years now, is that we're in a real inflection point in terms of the numerous chaotic events that have happened over the last few years that are unprecedented since the turn of the 20th century, when we were dealing with two wars, Great Depression, and the flu pandemic of 1918.
Mhm.
And so what I have seen in society is that a lot of people struggle with leadership. There are a lot of
So are you saying, I guess, that we're kind of in the same sense at the beginning of the last century, there were these tumultuous events, and we're sort of starting this century with this other kind of bizarre kind of feel.
Yes, absolutely. And while a lot of these events are scary and very stressful for us, they are also a golden opportunity for new things. It's as if the earth goes through a cleansing periodically, and with chaos and dissension into chaos, there's also the opportunity to establish society and the world in general at a higher level of functioning than
Yeah.
before, where there's the opportunity for greater understanding and enlightenment and things like that. And I think that is so relevant to leadership right now, because it's out of periods of chaos that we have discovered who our greatest leaders are and what makes them different from the average leader out there. Really great leaders are exceptional, and I don't want to say they're few and far between, but they're not common either,
Right.
because nobody really knows how to teach people to stand up and take on a leadership role when there's so much chaos going on.
Mm.
We can train our employees, our middle managers and so forth, on the nuts and bolts of running a team, for example. But when things start to become fragmented and fall apart, it's the real leaders that are like the cream that rises to the top. They somehow
Well, you know what I'm thinking is, um, as you were speaking, I'm thinking the world of entrepreneurs kind of feels chaotic all the time. So whatever those attributes are that get leaders to step forward and be highly effective when chaos kind of gives them opens the opportunity for them to rise to take that role. I'm, I think entrepreneurs can kind of use that on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah,
So you got to be
absolutely.
really
And
paying attention here.
leadership at every level is under so much pressure right now. They're always under a lot of pressure, but especially now. And you see this in the business world that's been completely upended. It's now job seekers who are sort of owning the market, so to speak, and the employer is having to make uh, take some big steps to adapt, and in fact are having a hard time finding talent because people are getting more selective about who they will go to work for.
Yeah.
And a lot of this came out of the pandemic, but I think it was starting even before that. And so leaders have always been under a lot of pressure, but even more so than ever before. And they don't always know what to do next. And that brings me to the fact that most leaders don't really know how to connect with their people on a human to human level. There
Mhm.
is a spiritual aspect of leadership and teamwork that is sorely lacking in the business world, especially when you get up to larger corporate entities,
Mhm.
where the talent that is hired ends up often feeling like a nondescript number instead of a valued human being that's bringing a lot of influence to the team and to the bottom line in terms of revenue and profit growth. And so I think that leaders are in the perfect position right now, leaders in business specifically, to step up their leadership skills and lead the world out of this chaos.
Mhm.
Need
So
more.
what one thing I gathered out of what you just said is a kind of a key to effective leadership is connecting with those around you. I'll say it that way. Yeah, not just kind of intellectually, but at but an emotional and a kind of spiritual level, and that's a different kind of relationship, right? Than sort
It,
of the distant the distant strategist or something like
yeah,
that, the
yeah,
aloof strategist.
yeah. Yeah, in fact, most businesses, especially big corporate, and I work with the smaller businesses,
Hmm.
5, 10, 20, 30, 50 employees.
Hmm.
Once you get to that 20 employee mark, teams tend to get fragmented because what you hired the team for when you were a newer startup, those needs have changed as the business has grown and gotten more complex. So
Hmm.
that's often where small businesses will bring in an external coach or consultant to help people come together who on your team has natural leadership abilities. Should we consider one or two of them for a middle management position? Do
Right.
we need to hire
All
one
of
or
a
two
sudden,
more
it get
people?
you to that level where middle management is like a thing
Yeah.
because
So
there's just too many
so
people
you're right.
keep,
There's too many people, too many
yeah,
cooks in the kitchen,
yeah, for
and
one
what we
person to
need to
just
do
kind of keep
now.
track of and be
Yeah.
effectively
Yeah,
guiding,
what
right?
we need to do now as a team is very different than what we needed to do early on. And so this is where leadership, especially the decision makers upstairs, sort of get a little lost and entirely miss that human element that is absolutely critical. If you look at any of the great leaders in the world, whether it's Patton in World War II or Zelensky in Ukraine leading his people, or Winston Churchill at the evacuation of Dunkirk and that pivotal, risky decision he made that somehow he was able to pull off. When you look at these great leaders, their backs were against the wall, but somehow they stepped forth and said, I got to lead. I got to
Mm,
make some decisions here. And I don't know if they're going to work out to our benefit or not. And my neck is on the line here, but they did it anyway.
yeah, yeah.
They did it anyway at great risk to themselves. And, when you get leadership in business who's willing to step up and put their own neck on the line, and while doing that, also acknowledge and recognize that you didn't hire the team so you can tell them what to do. You hired them so that they can show you the way.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
hired them for their expertise, so let them lead. Show them curiosity, ask open-ended questions that get them talking, so that it's not just a yes, no answer.
yeah.
Encourage dissenting opinions, all these things. We need to hear what could go wrong with this idea. So let's hear Eric out, for example, it
Right.
might make the idea a better idea, things like that.
Hmm.
But it's more than that, Eric. It's also, I'll give you a great example of one of my all-time favorite leaders. I worked for Overlake Hospital. I was in the behavioral health profession for 24 years, major medical center in the Seattle area. And they had a great staff culture. In fact, Seattle Times did a survey of favorite employers in the Puget Sound area.
Hmm.
Under healthcare category, Overlake was voted #1 by its employees. Why?
Yeah.
Because they have a great staff culture with CEOs that would come down in their suits and ties and serve us gourmet Christmas dinner and run into us at the water cooler in the hallway and say, "Oh, you're Carol Lane from Behavioral Health. I've heard all about you.
Yeah.
I've heard you've
Yeah.
done some good things," or, "Hey, Susie, I just heard you got back from Spain. Bring your pictures and let's take a look at them." When you show just little snippets of human interest in your talent and you're willing to stick your neck out for them when times are tough and actually lead them, then they will follow you to the ends of the earth and you will see costly turnovers go down because that's the kind of employer that talent is looking for.
Yeah.
Place where they can grow.
Yeah. Well, so we've kind of danced around. We've talked about a few of these things already, but like, what are some of the common mistakes that leaders can make, and what should they do instead?
Well, a couple that come to mind is being unavailable and unreceptive in terms of being willing to hand over power to the team. So you don't want to be dictating the answers to your talent. You want to ask them for their input, what their solutions might be. And certainly you are the ultimate decision maker, uh, but you want to lead with curiosity more than advice.
Mm,
And a lot of leaders don't know how to do that. So that's one mistake. Another mistake is learning to own it when you blow it. So one of my favorite bosses at Overlake was a gal named Barb Burkow. She was the nursing director, so she was sat up in the ivory tower with the bigwigs.
right.
But Overlake lost a unit manager that was beloved and had been there for many years, and it took a long time to find the next appropriate person to hire and step in. And so Barb was sort of managing our unit as well as doing her her role as a director. And she was one of these leaders that was full of smiles and hugs and gifts and all kinds of things,
Right.
loved to praise us, but she could also come down on you in with a velvet hammer if you screwed up.
Mhm.
And one day, my chatty Kathy got me in trouble, and I said something wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it was enough for her to take notice and call me in her office. And
Mhm.
she said, "You're articulate, you're intelligent. In some ways, you're different from the others because you see things they don't see. But I want you to be more wise and discerning when you speak and how you speak."
Mhm.
And then she told me a little story about when she was a younger person in leadership and a mistake she made that was similar. And I went home and swallowed hard because I'm a perfectionist and a recovering perfectionist. And I stewed in it for about 2 days. And then I thought, you know what? This is a great gift of learning for me. And so it helped me to be more concise when I speak. It helped me to be very discerning about what I'm saying and whether it's relevant to the other person or not. And so I encourage leaders to, when you blow it, this is exactly what she said to me, Carol, when you blow it, just say you blew it. And I said, okay, Barb, I blew it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
that's what I would
everybody
say to,
knows anyway.
yeah, that's what I would say to leadership. Your team will love you all the more for
Yeah.
just saying, you guys, I got this one wrong, but let's pivot and see what we can do differently to make this work out better.
Yeah. Yeah. I got it. Um, well, you've talked about some of the examples, but of people like to illustrate your points. But I'm wondering if you could give us an example of someone that you've coached and the kind of transformation that you've created there, or that they've
Oh,
really that
gosh.
they've experienced.
There's so many. Let's see if I could pick one. Probably one of my all-time favorite coaching experiences is this was before the pandemic. This gentleman, Will Chen, owns a small tax accounting firm in Edmonds. I'm in Shoreline, which is a suburb adjacent to the Seattle North End, and Edmonds
Mhm.
is the next town up.
I see.
I had met Will through the Edmonds Chamber of Commerce. They have about 430 members. They've been around since around 1935, I think. So they're a pretty good sized chamber. And we had exchanged business cards over a couple of years. And one day he came to me and said, Carol, I need help with my team. I need to get them motivated to help me with the marketing and stuff like that. So we did a strategy session. He hired me. I came in, met with the team, met with them individually and together, met with Will individually and with the team. And then I challenged them to come up with 10 uh, goals for the next 12 months that are specifically targeted to revenue growth. Let's cut out all the clutter. Who on the team is interested in being, a marketer, has the natural talent, and if not, can you hire one more person, like an office manager that has marketing experience, for example, because you're a small,
Right.
team with a small revenue growth right now and smaller, relatively speaking.
Sure.
So that turned out really well. He ended up upgrading his technology, and he did hire one more new person. And it was just small pivots in the way they were thinking and focusing that made a world of difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it is those smaller things like that little shift. Um, and I kind of to that point, what are some of the roadblocks that folks should watch out for as they're, I mean, leadership is about a direction and bring everybody along in the most powerful way you can. So, what are some of the roadblocks that you can run into? I mean, that was my view of it, at least. I put words in your mouth, but about what leadership is about. But what are some
Well,
of the big roadblocks?
uh, it only takes one person on the team with a lousy attitude to bring the morale of the rest of the team and the morale of the leader down.
Mm,
And so the challenge for the leader is, how do you navigate your way through that. Does this mean one-on-one time with that person and to coach them and mentor them? Does it mean you've given them chances, but now it's time to consider firing them?
Mhm.
But one way that you can nip a lot of that headache in the bud right away is to hire for attitude before you ever hire for skills.
Mhm.
People look good on paper, but all the college degrees in the world do not make for a great attitude of growth.
Mhm.
That with someone that is willing to get behind the company vision, who's actually excited about it. You know, if you're going to become an attorney, for example, or a doctor, you got to have a degree, right? But
Mhm.
a lot of things can be trained. So I would rather hire somebody that doesn't necessarily have tons of experience, but's got a great attitude, who wants to learn and grow with the company.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you'll do a whole lot better. And the second thing that I would say, I'll just give you a couple things, is that it's very important that you set the tone when you meet with your talent. And one thing I encourage leaders to do is to check in with the team in the first 5 minutes. How are you guys doing? Any highlights of your week? Any challenges or obstacles that we can help you with?
Mhm.
And then add this question. Really takes nerve to ask this question, but it's a powerful question. Who sitting at this table would like to say something, feels that something needs to be said, but maybe you're concerned that it's controversial or that you might get negative feedback? If that is you, speak up now. We need to hear from you. We need to
Mm.
put all the challenges on the table and then figure out how to tackle them one by one. And we can't do that if we're not honest with me when if we're not honest with each other when that's hard to do.
So that bears repeating in brief. So what's that key question?
That key question, who at this table has something on their mind that you may be reluctant to say for fear of negative feedback? We need you to speak up now.
That is so awesome. That is an
Yeah.
awesome question. I love that.
Because people who are allowed to speak freely, even if they get it wrong,
Mhm.
they're going to feel appreciated, and they're going to appreciate you as the leader and the other members of the team. The last thing I'll say on that along those lines is that uh, great leaders inspire and motivate their teams to hold each other accountable for what they did well and
Mhm.
for what they got wrong. And we
Mhm.
do that without blame and shame words, because you won't get anything out of each other if we're afraid to talk to each other. So it's better to ask rather than laying blame. It's better to ask what's working, you guys, what's not working, and what's the
Mhm.
next step.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah,
that gets the creative juices flowing.
really. Yeah, it kind of gets it brings you to this moment. And like, how
Yeah,
can we move forward from here? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, is like, if there was one golden nugget that you would want people to walk away from in this conversation, what would it be?
Masterful, influential leaders are master communicators. They pay attention to their own personal development, because personal development is business growth.
Mm.
You see people implementing all kinds of brilliant strategies, but not gaining a lot of traction because the mindset, the mental emotional blocks are not being dealt with. And that creates a lot more fear, the fear of what's left unspoken. And so that's a big part of it. And being a master communicator, as I said early, means asking open-ended questions and being receptive to feedback from your team, allowing them to lead you. And it also means being a great listener.
Yeah.
So I've got somebody on the team that says, well, Susie, I know you like that idea and you're really attached to it, but it's never going to work. And people might have the instinct to want to jump all over this person, but a master communicator as a leader will ask curiosity questions like, Hey, Eric, tell me a little bit more about that. Can you elaborate what you
What brought you to
mean by
that?
that?
What how did you come to that what's behind what you just said? I'm
Yeah,
curious. Yeah, like
help
that.
us
Anyway,
understand.
I'm like rising to the challenge here. Sorry, I
Yeah.
can't help it.
So think of hostage negotiators and what masterful communicators they are, and they can connect with that hostage taker
Mm,
on a human to human level, even though that person is committing a felony
it's
and
definitely kind
endangering
of an
the lives of
adversarial
others. It
situation.
takes
Yeah.
great skill and ability to connect us human to human. And so when you can communicate like that, you are truly a master communicator. And it's really asking simple, open ended questions and then saying, tell me more.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be
Oh, that's
amazed at all the
awesome.
great ideas that come out of a question like that.
Yeah, I got it. And behind what you just said is um, it takes that personal growth piece that you talked about is so important because as a leader, you kind of need to be able to stand in that space and hold it open and hear whatever there is to hear and not have yourself being triggered or reacting or shutting, like all those things that can happen if you like if the opportunity to work on your own personal growth gives you a place to stand when you're in that situation and it's time for you to hear what needs to be heard. I mean, that's my
Yes.
feeling about it. I don't know if you agree or not.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head, Eric. Leaders who understand themselves on a deep human level and learn from their mistakes are far more influential because they have that human element of compassion when members of their team are stuck as well.
Mm.
And so it's back to that human connection, understanding ourselves, our own fears, and what keeps us stuck, and successfully navigating our way through that gives us something of value to offer the team as well when they inevitably hit those roadblocks themselves.
It
Contrary to
happens to
popular,
everybody. It happens to
yes,
everybody.
contrary to popular belief, only 20% of our results come from strategy. The other 80% come from tending to our mental and emotional roadblocks. And that
Interesting.
takes courage because it's hard to feel that stuff.
Yeah. And when you do, um, 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 taking it in stride as opposed to all
A
the other
little bit
ways
at a
that you might
time.
react to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, that's a wonderful nugget. Thank you. Well, let me ask you: is there a question that I should have, you wish that I'd asked you? And if so, how would you have answered it?
Gosh. I am not sure how to answer that. I think I sort of answered most of that
Okay. So if we are
already.
complete, then that's fine. It's
Yeah,
just an
I would
opportunity. If there was
say
something that Kurt, that you had might, if anything came up, then we would have had that.
I
So
I
you're
I would
cool.
say, what is one growth experience that's challenged you mentally and emotionally? Maybe something like that.
Just inquiring into that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, this is awesome and so valuable. I think people are probably going to want to know how to get a hold of you. So, how would they do that?
So there's a couple ways you can get a hold of me. My email is carol@caryllane.com, and it is spelled Caryl at CarylLane.com. The other
Mm.
way you can get a hold of me is at caryllane.com, which is my website. And you can also download a free gift, the top 3 strategies that skyrocket team productivity.
Mm,
Team expansion and productivity is, according to an 11-year Harvard University study, the fastest way to grow your revenue and scale your business to the next level.
yeah.
So that's absolutely free. And when you go to my website, it'll take you to my homepage, and the banner link that gets you to the free gift is right below the website banner. So it's easy to find.
Perfect. And what was the name of the gift one more time?
The top 3 strategies that skyrocket team productivity.
Perfect.
Get your team to perform well and be highly efficient, focused, and productive. And you can boost your revenue growth in weeks and months instead of taking years trying to figure it out all alone.
Yeah, yeah, I got it. So so go grab that gift.
Go grab
Thank you.
that gift.
Thank you so much, Carol. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate the time here today.
You bet. Okay, bye for now.
Bye.